the first tweet and the first, I guess, genre, if we will, of tweets that we're going to get into are reactions about the Nashville shooting. If you want to watch our previous episode, it was actually a deep dive on that. But this has just inspired some of the worst tweets of all time.
Literally imaginable. It's just, it's insane.
Yeah.
Let's pull some up.
Let's get into it. Okay. So the lovely Christina Buttons sent this tweet to me. It's from this woman named Cassandra at Cassie Wears Heels. And it's a picture of the 6 victims who tragically lost their lives in Nashville. And the caption, if you're ready.
Oh boy.
Never forget a trans person like Dylan Mulvaney killed these 6 people. Babe, what does Dylan Mulvaney have to do with this?
And you and I have gone back and forth a little bit on Dylan Mulvaney. And I think that at this point we agree that this is not a role model to follow.
No.
I find Dylan a little bit disturbing, actually a lot. But to compare Dylan to a homicidal killer, one who is not a trans male to female, but was a woman who I started identifying as a man. I don't think it's comparable. And I do think it's unfair to just say, oh yeah, it's trans, just like this person. Like, I see a lot of people doing this with race, obviously. Like whenever there's, I don't know if your feed is like this. My feed is like World Star Hip Hop lately with a bunch of accounts just retweeting like the most violent crap onto my timeline. It's not people I follow. It's like my For You timeline, which
I've noticed that.
I click not interested every time I see it. So I don't really know what the algorithm is doing. But the comments are just filled with like, oh yeah, a black person or a brown person or this person or that person. It's like, I hate assigning the actions of an individual to an entire group. And so even though I don't like Dylan, I'm gonna defend them in this instance and defend trans people in this instance and say, just because you have gender dysphoria does not mean you're homicidal, does not mean you're an evil person. And I just can't believe we have to say this, but it's a lot of conservatives who in the past were very much on the side of the individual, on the side of small government, are saying, don't generalize Trump supporters. You know, anytime something happens and it's the fault of a Trump supporter, nobody wants that to be generalized that way, or the fault of a conservative. You know, there have been several shootings that I can think of where, you know, Dylan Roof, for example, he was a white supremacist and targeted black people. People could say, oh, he was a conservative just like these people.
Just like Trump. Yeah. And we would reasonably say that's bogus and that's completely out of touch with reality. But it really does seem like people have completely lost their marbles. And when it specifically comes to the trans issue, and this is the problem I have with it, we have just completely gone off the deep end. And now any kind of language around trans people is totally fine. Yeah, we've abandoned individualism. And again, I talked about this, and we both talked about this a lot in our previous episode about the actual shooting. When you do this kind of stuff, when you assign the blame to an entire community, it actually removes responsibility from the individual.